Gun violence has terrorized and traumatized so many of our communities in this country. And let us be clear, it does not have to be this way, as our friends in Australia have demonstrated.
Kamala Harris praises Australia's gun control laws. But then again, so would Hitler, and so would Stalin, and so would Mao, and so would Idi Amin, and so would... Welcome to another installment of the Connecticut Gun Bench. Today's video is brought to you by P.A.N. Firearms, LLC, P.A.N. Firearms for NRA certification and multifaceted gun training. You can reach us at 203-300-6343 or use our website at www.panfirearmsllc.com. As always, there'll be a link in the description box below. And if you like my channel, like my content and what I do here, you can support me with a link. Everything's appreciated. Before we get into that, public service announcements once again, and I'm going to keep repeating this until July of 2024. If you're a Connecticut resident and you want to get your Connecticut pistol permit, please do it before July 2024. The state has changed the training requirements to obtain a permit. They're making it longer, more expensive, and more onerous. And technically just to basically disincentivize people from applying for their permits, which of course prevents them from buying a firearm. It has nothing to do with nobody's safety as much as they like to gaslight and tell you that it does. So please, if you're going to get a Connecticut pistol permit, please get that training done before July 2024. Get your paperwork in. Let's talk about this. Now, at a state function, Kamala Harris praised Australian Prime Minister for his gun control stance in the country, claiming that Australia has demonstrated gun control can work. Yeah, most dictators do love gun control. I mean, look throughout history. You don't have to look very far either. But let me come into here. Vice President Kamala Harris lauded gun control laws in Australia where citizens do not have a legal right to gun ownership and where a mass gun confiscation took place in the 1990s during a speech Thursday. And thank God for the Founding Fathers and the Constitution. They had the foresight and the forethinking to see that people like Kamala Harris were going to be in authority, and they literally set a framework to keep that person in check. Thank you. Harris said Australian gun laws prove that mass shootings do not have to be a regular occurrence during her remarks delivered at the State Department luncheon earlier in the day with Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese. Her comments came after a shooting in Lewiston, Maine on Wednesday left at least 18 dead and more than a dozen injured. Well, they don't have mass shootings, but they have crime. See, this is the funny part about all this. They make it, especially people like this, I'm talking about Harris, they make it sound like gun violence is the only thing we're worrying about. And that banning firearms is this utopian, authoritarian, sadistic mindset that banning firearms is going to equal less crime. They say, oh, well, we don't have mass shootings. Okay, then you got people being stabbed to death. Look what happened in England. They banned guns. Violent crime escalated. I forget what the year, and I will find the article and hopefully put it up behind me. The EU voted Great Britain the most violent country in the EU. How could they be the most violent country if they don't have guns? Because it's not about the implement, it's about the person and the intent. But quote, as we gather details, we must continue to speak truth about what the moment we are in. Harris said, in our country today, the leading cause of death of American children is gun violence. That's a lie. Gun violence has terrorized and traumatized so many of our communities in the United States. Let me back up because they keep repeating that. And you hear it on the news, you hear it on talk shows, the clucking, hens of the View. Oh, gun violence is the number one killer of children. Here's the thing. How many of you consider an 18-year-old a child? An 18-year-old is not a child. But what they did was with this study is they included 18 and 19-year-olds as children. That's how they got the number they wanted to inflate it to then say that gun violence is the number one killer of children. That's how they did it. But, quote, let us be clear, it does not have to be this way. As our friends in Australia have demonstrated, she continued to applaud. Whatever. Okay, come down here. According to a brief on the Australian Parliament's official website, there is no legal right to gun ownership in Australia, in contrast to the position in the United States. Once again, give praises to our founding fathers. Truly, give praises to them. Okay? Because I'm going to explain why when we come out of this. In addition, Australian law requires individuals to prove they have a genuine reason for owning a gun. Self-protection is not considered to be a genuine reason under that statute. So they much rather you be killed just for their, utopian idea of gun control. Okay, self-protection. No, it's not a good enough reason. That is the only reason, beyond many, but that is first and foremost the reason I want to protect myself. Further, this nation's law further mandate that individuals who purchase firearms must have a license, and each firearm they own must be individually registered. So, well, that happens here anyway. Such a requirement, according to the Australian Parliament, briefly contrasts with New Zealand and Canada, which require firearm purchasers to obtain a license, but allows them to freely purchase firearms after obtaining said license. And then we don't need to get into history, but Australia basically implemented that law in 1996, basically after several what they called mass shootings. And they basically banned all semi-automatic firearms and huge restrictions. But crime still continues in the country. Don't be bought into this gaslighting crap. Crime is still an issue in Australia. I think they only have, 8 million people in the country? And they have a crime problem. So don't buy that. Now, she said all this in response to what is happening in Maine, Lewiston, Maine, was basically within days of her speech. So she tried to once again use that event to then say, we need gun control here in the United States. And one thing she won't say, and a lot of people are ignoring, is the fact that this man, Robert Card, went to a gun-free zone, which means nobody inside the facility had the means to be able to counter his violence. But they leave that part out. There's a reason why these people pick these gun-free zones. There's an absolute reason why. And I'm going to come over, and here's the thing with Australia, New Zealand, even Canada, and what they did during COVID. Remember, politicians here in the United States praise these countries for what they're doing with their COVID restrictions, locking people up in their homes. China, literally locking people up in their homes, dragging them off the streets. Australia was criticized widely for the draconian COVID restrictions. But why? How did they get away with it? Because the people really didn't have the means or the gumption to even try to fight back. Our Second Amendment here literally stopped our government from doing what they did in Australia, what they did in New Zealand, walking into people's yards and telling them to go back in their house, in their own yard. Dragging people up from the airport because they weren't wearing a mask. Arresting people on the beach because they weren't wearing a mask on the beach. Our politicians praise them for this crap. Now, once again, you expect a dictator to praise other dictators' edicts. Just goes hand in hand. But this once again, and Kamala Harris's language, once again shows you how great a country we have, and this living document is literally shaping our framework and keeping us and them in check. Because if they could, they would have done this a long time ago, and we would have a crime wave of epic proportions that we could not defend ourselves from. Because they don't want gun control for the sake of your safety. They want gun control for the sake of their safety. Okay? There's a great saying, I picked it up from a meme. It said the only reason the government wants to disarm you after 243 years is because they're going to do something that you would shoot them for. And that is absolutely true. This has nothing to do with your safety. But let me know what you think. As always, you can leave your comments in the comment section below. And as always, any statements of violence or statements that lead to violence will be removed. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you're notified the next time a video goes live. I will see you on the next one. Peace.